All right, everyone, welcome. Tonight, we are diving into one of the most powerful and, honestly, beautiful themes in all of Scripture, the wedding day. It's this incredible story that weaves through the entire Bible, and it all leads to a truly epic celebration.
So let's just jump right in. And we're going to start with a question that might seem a little shocking. Because to really understand the glory of the wedding day, we first have to grapple with the messy, broken, and very human story that came before it.
And the key to unlocking this whole thing is found in something pretty fascinating. Solomon actually had two very different names, and each one tells us something profound about God's character and his absolutely relentless love.
Now, we all know him as Solomon, right? Or Shlomo in the Hebrew. That's the name his parents, David and Bathsheba, gave him. But, and this is so important, God gave him another name entirely through the prophet Nathan, Jedediah.
So that first name, Shlomo, it comes from shalom. You have to remember the context. After the tragic consequences of their sin, the death of their first child, this name was a prayer. It was their desperate hope for wholeness, for peace, for some kind of restoration. But then God steps into the middle of their grief and shame. He names the boy Jedediah, which means Yahweh's beloved or loved by Yahweh. Do you see the difference? This wasn't a prayer from earth. This was a declaration from heaven. God was saying, despite the history, despite the sin, this one is loved by me.
And this story, this moment of redemption right at the beginning of Solomon's life, it's not just a one-off. It actually pulls back the curtain on a core principle that you see echoing through the entire Bible.
And it leads us to this kind of divine equation that really shapes the whole story. It's simply this: God's kindness is always greater than his judgment. It's not that judgment or consequences aren't real, but that his mercy is always working to overcome them and bring us back to life. You know, the Apostle James just nails it centuries later. He sums up this whole divine reality perfectly when he writes that in God's economy, mercy doesn't just win, it triumphs over judgment.
So let's see how this builds, because this pattern of relentless love, it just keeps showing up. This isn't a one-time thing. This is the very heartbeat of God. And for our next example, we're going to jump over to the prophets.
Can you imagine this? God tells the prophet Hosea to live this message out. He marries a woman who is repeatedly unfaithful to him. He feels that pain of betrayal firsthand, and then God tells him to go and buy her back out of slavery. Hosea's whole life becomes this living, breathing picture of God's passionate, unwavering commitment to his own unfaithful bride, Israel.
And all of this, the messy redemption in Solomon's birth, the relentless love we see in Hosea, it all brings us right here, to the center, the very heart of the Song of Songs, the royal wedding procession.
The scene just opens with this awestruck question from the bride. She's looking out and she sees this magnificent procession coming up from the wilderness, this pillar of smoke and fragrance, and she just breathes, "Who is this?"
It's King Solomon himself. And get this, he is not arriving quietly. He's coming in a custom-made royal carriage, surrounded by 60 of Israel's most elite warriors. The air is thick with the scent of myrrh and frankincense. This is a public, glorious, joyful declaration of love for everyone to see. But as incredible as this whole spectacle is, it's not actually the main event. It's a signpost. It's pointing to something and someone infinitely greater.
To really get this, we need to understand a biblical concept called a type. You can think of a type as a kind of God-given preview. It's a person or an event in the Old Testament that acts like a trailer, a foreshadowing of the ultimate fulfillment that we're going to find in Jesus Christ.
So Solomon, in all his glory, is a type that points to Jesus. Think about it. Solomon was the son of David, the Prince of Peace. Jesus is the ultimate son of David, the Sar Shalom. Solomon was famous for his wisdom. Jesus said, "Something greater than Solomon is here." Solomon built a physical temple. Jesus builds the true temple, which is us, the church. Solomon is the bridegroom in this incredible poem, but he's just the preview for the ultimate bridegroom of all God's people.
So you see, this beautiful song isn't just about a historical wedding. It's a key chapter in a story that spans the entire Bible, and it's a foreshadowing of the grandest event in all of history.
We see this theme threaded through all of Scripture. It starts with the very first wedding in the Garden of Eden. Then we see it in the covenant wedding between God and Israel at Mount Sinai. We see its poetic beauty right here in the Song of Songs.
And it is all pointing toward one final glorious celebration.
And the book of Revelation reveals that climax of all creation, of all of history. It's the wedding of the Lamb, Jesus Christ, and his bride, the church, who has finally made herself ready for him.
And this brings this whole epic, cosmos-spanning story right back to us, today. It leaves us with this final, deeply personal question to think about. We are the bride, and the story says the bride is making herself ready. So the question for all of us is, how are you preparing for the great wedding day?